Enter the Gungeon was initially released way back on April 5th, 2016, and received its final capstone update on April 5th, 2019. This is one of my favourite games of all time, and I couldn't wait to finally talk about it. I have played so much Gungeon over the years, some say I'm even the best Gungeon player on the planet right now. When I die, I want to be uploaded to the Gungeon to dodge roll forever. For more Gungeon love, make sure you're subscribed. All that's left to do is enter the Gungeon to let you know why this masterpiece is worth your time. Enter the Gungeon is a twin-stick roguelike shooter. You know the drill. Random levels, lots of loot, permanent death. Well, not exactly. There is so much to dig into here, it's hard to know where to begin. Let's start with our Gungeoneers. You start with 4 more to unlock. Each Gungeoneer is unique in their own way. They have loadouts that provide a lot of diversity in how you approach the game. Each one also has its own unique story to complete. We're going to give you a rundown of the first 4 Gungeoneers to help you out with your choice. First up is the Convict, largely regarded as the worst Gungeoneer. Her starting loadout consists of the budget revolver and the sawn-off shotgun. The shotgun is a pretty solid starting weapon, and the revolver can get you out of a tight pinch. Her active item is the Molotov, which creates a small area of fire, and her passive item is the Enraging Photo, which reloads your gun and increases your damage if you get hit. The best way to utilise the Convict is a truly up close and personal style. Next up is the Marine, the best starting Gungeoneer. His starting weapon is the Marine Sidearm, which is the best base weapon of the 4 original Gungeoneers. He also starts with 1 armor, which gives you an extra hit point. His active item is the Supply Drop, which gives you an ammo box upon request, and his passive is Marine Training, which increases weapon handling. Huntress is the best all-around Gungeoneer. Her loadout consists of the crossbow and rusty sidearm. The crossbow is the best starting weapon here as it can one-shot a lot of first floor enemies, which makes clearing rooms a breeze. The rusty sidearm is also a solid backup weapon. Huntress also starts with the dog, who is a good boy and will randomly dig up items for you. Finally, we have the Pilot, who is by far the most controversial Gungeoneer. His starting weapon is the Rogue Special, and it is garbage. It can't hit the broadside of a barn, and when it does, it tickles the enemies. Where the Pilot fails in firepower, however, he excels in items. His active is the trusty Lockpick, which lets you attempt to pick open chests and locked doors. This is a game changer if RNGesus is on your side. He also has 2 passive items, the Disarming Personality, which reduces shop prices, and the Hidden Compartment, which allows you to carry 2 active items. Pilot is truly a Gungeoneer to master, and is my favourite of the starting 4. The other 4 Gungeoneers are uniquely powerful in their own way, and well worth the unlock. But we can't spoil everything in the review now, can we? The gameplay boils down to a core of killing enemies, exploring each floor, collecting items, and taking on bosses. The Gungeon is massive and sprawling. It always feels like something is hiding just out of sight, and I love this. Every run will have you discovering something new, be it a gun, item, enemy, boss, floor, or something even crazier. The game has that Breath of the Wild quality where you can poke and prod at the mechanics to really try and break things. How the mechanics interact with each other is masterful, and it makes every decision in a run valuable. The game also does a great job at opening up. When you start, the loot pool is very limited, the breach is empty, and the Gungeon is mysterious, but as you progress and explore, you'll meet new NPCs and earn credits to buy new weapons and items to help you survive. These credits are acquired by killing bosses, and make sure that you always have a new toy to try and find. NPCs exist to help you out, challenge you, and modify the game. We'll get onto that last one later. Before that, we really need to talk about the combat here. It is fluid beyond belief. Every enemy has a distinct design, some are variants of others, but it is always easy to see what you need to kill. There are regular bullets, shotgun shells, flying bullets, blobs, and so much more. This distinction is key because the game will throw a lot at you very quickly, and giving the player as much visual information as quickly as possible is paramount. Each enemy attack is very bright and highlighted. It is almost impossible to not see what is about to kill you. Most of the time you can see the entirety or most of the room you are fighting in and all of the elements involved. It makes reacting on the fly to the dynamics of a gunfight simple. Then you have the centre of this game, so much so that the developers are named after it, the dodge roll. This allows you to roll through or away from attacks. The dodge roll is its own skill to master. Each floor presents its own unique challenges and enemies. There are also secret floors for you to find that offer great rewards. Finally, there are the bosses. Each main floor has 3 bosses and they are all insane in their own way. From the tag team Trigger Twins, to Snake, the game, the boss, to a damn murder wall. Boss fights feel tough but fair, and each one presents its own unique challenges. If you're after more of a challenge, you can also modify your runs with some major changes. Blessed runs switch your game to gun game. Your weapon changes frequently here and you'll always be on your toes. If you like speed, you can enable turbo mode, which cranks up the entire game to sonic speed. You're faster, enemies are faster, and so are their attacks. For those who want to walk through the Gungeon like they own the place, there's the Rainbow Run, which disables all item pickups in lieu of letting you pick a powerful item at the start of each floor. Finally, there is a challenge mode for the sadists out there. This is no joke. Every single room has a different modifier designed to make you suffer. The depth here is insane. There is so much to find, see and unlock. Every single challenge has a solid reward and there is always something new to strive for. Items also synergize with each other for even crazier combinations. Gungeon also feels insanely satisfying to simply play. Every gun feels satisfying to shoot, and gunfights have debris flying everywhere. The game builds up from a decent pace to breakneck speed masterfully. Finally, we should talk about the difficulty of this game. Gungeon is unforgiving when you start out, and even when you're experienced, it will still find ways to toy with you. A lot of learning in this game comes from dying, so take each run as its own learning experience. The key here though is that this is a skill-based roguelike. You can finish the game with just your starting loadout if you're insane enough. If you know how to use your movement, you can survive with the bare minimum. It is insanely rewarding. There are some friendly features, most notably the blanks, which clear the screen of all bullets. The controls here are genius because when you get hit, you will tense up, and likely click both sticks in. You can set the blank to be a button if you prefer though. With the difficulty in mind, we'd like to offer you some tips to get you started. First and foremost, watch your character instead of the enemies. It is far easier to dodge what is directly affecting you than trying to watch the whole screen. The game has some solid aim assist, so as long as you're aiming in the correct direction, you'll be landing some decent shots, and surviving in order to land hits is paramount. When you enter a room, it is vital you clear a corner to fight from. Having some space to move and fight back is key to survival. If you can't clear a corner, try to move clockwise around the enemies. You'll dodge most attacks and be able to roll over the rest. When dodging attacks, always try to walk out of the way before dodge rolling. Once you start a dodge roll, you are committed, and more often than not, you will roll straight into another bullet. When the next wave of enemies start spawning, pick a target and unload into it when the enemy comes. This will immediately dispatch one threat. It should be noted that standing in these targets will cause you to take damage. Red enemies have more health and their attacks deal double damage. Finally, don't be afraid to use everything you pick up. You can go a very long time between seeing the same gun twice, and foregoing using something like the black hole gun because you wanted to save it for the boss can be a mistake when it gets you killed. We're almost done here, but before we wrap up this section, I do have some issues with the gameplay. First of all, the status effect indicator is really easy to miss in a fight. You take constant damage from status effects and it can very easily get you killed. Every other method of player damage in the game glows, so why doesn't this? I really dislike that the final 2 Gungeoneers cost credits to play. The challenge to unlock each one is difficult in their own right, and should feel like an achievement when you unlock them. The last Gungeoneer is insanely overpowered, but that power should be a reward for conquering the game's toughest challenge. This also links into the credit grind. Towards the end of the game, items start costing a lot of credits, and the amount you can earn per run is pretty limited. Sometimes you'll flawless a boss only to get a handful of credits as a reward. Finally, you can't play as cultist outside of co-op. Overall though, I have gushed about this gameplay for 3 script pages. It is masterful, varied and deep. Everything here is entwined together and I've barely scratched the surface. Gungeon is hard, but fair, and every challenge surmounted feels rewarding. Enter the Gungeon rolls in its first 5 out of 5. Everything is guns. Everything. There has never been more cohesion in art direction than in Enter the Gungeon. Every single weapon has a unique look with strong animations and satisfying sound design. I dare you to even attempt to find a single weapon here that isn't fun to fire. Enemies are cohesive and all have distinct looks. Take the regular bulletkin for example. His design is so simple yet so fantastic, and his variants all have designs linked to attacks. The regular bulletkin shoots the gun he has ammo for, a pistol. The bandana one has an AK-47 like a certain movie star, and the eye patch bulletkin can't aim good. The cohesion here is great. There's an eye patch item for the player that has the same effect, and it all makes Gungeon feel like a real connected place. Animations are clear and concise, enemies have good attack telegraphs, and bosses move with some serious weight. All of this is backed by a soundtrack with insane energy. It is impossible to not get pumped up by the backing track to your assault on the Gungeon, but there are also some calmer tracks for those breather moments. Hazards are marked clearly, as we said in the gameplay section. All of the visual information the player needs is easily legible even when things are going crazy. It's astounding. The level of detail here spreads to every corner of the game, and everything has a reason for existing. Gungeon is looking great with 2 5 out of 5s under its belt. We also touched on this in the gameplay section. The Gungeon oozes mystery, and it always feels like there's a new discovery around every corner. There is a base narrative here: enter the Gungeon, survive to kill your past, whatever that means. Each Gungeoneer has their own unique past to kill. Each one gives some backstory on the Gungeoneer and connections to the larger world. These stories are not mind-blowing, but each is unique and offers a fun challenge with added narrative bonus. But Enter the Gungeon isn't really about that. It's far more about the emergent narratives you will fall into. Like the time you survived the entire 5th floor with one hit, only to get surprised by a mimic. Or the time you found a gun that mocked your shooting skills but later became your friend. Or the time you set fire to an entire boss arena by accident. Each NPC has their own little story and reason for ending up at the Gungeon, and you can delve into who they are as you progress. Then, to top it all off, there is the Ammonomicon, the Gungeon Encyclopedia. This book documents everything you've ever found in the Gungeon with pictures and some comical detail. If you want to dive into the lore, then this is the place. There is so much depth here, and the narrative threads do a lot to make the world of Enter the Gungeon feel real and connected. Each past is a fun little cohesive tale, and the lore is endless. Gungeon adds another 5 out of 5 to its arsenal. You are getting a lot with this package. 4 characters, 4 more to unlock, hundreds of weapons and items, side quests, secrets to find, an entire Gungeon to conquer alone or with a friend, and to top it all off, everything is polished to a shine. I can safely say I've encountered very few bugs over my years of playing. It should be of note though, if you play on Switch, too many things happening on screen may melt the console. But this was always a case of me using a weapon that was too crazy, rather than the game's fault. Then there are the settings. There are some serious quality of life changes in here. You can toggle quick gun switch. Loot pool can be changed between the full arsenal or the original selection. There are toggles for increased speed out of combat and hide empty guns when in combat. You'll want to turn both of these on. There are major language options, and you can set your quick start character. Screen shake has a slider, and there is a toggle for co-op gun shake reduction. You can also select text speed. There is a slider for control aim look, settings for aim assist, and a slider for aim assist amount. There is also a toggle for beam aim assist, as well as vibration, tiny UI, and show cursor. You can also choose your cursor design. There are options for when your minimap displays. You can toggle speedrun mode, which puts an accurate timer in the corner of the screen. Thank you, dodge roll, very cool. There is also a toggle for beast mode. If you activate this and proceed to die in the Gungeon, you also die in real life. Finally, there are 4 save slots for you to select. There are controller presets, or you can just remap everything to your liking. You can also enable or disable the stick-click blank binding. Video has sliders for gamma and display safe area. Audio has sliders for music, SFX, and UI volume, as well as some audio presets. Overall, this is a technical marvel. The whole package is really well put together and includes some great quality of life tweaks. The only omission here is a lack of subtitle options, but the base subtitles are nice and clear. Gungeon is approaching perfection with a 5 out of 5 for its technical prowess. Finally, we come to the commitment scale. How well does Gungeon respect your time? Hard drive footprint is minuscule at 450 megabytes. There is absolutely some sorcery at play here. Runs vary in length, but on average you should be able to clear the game in about 45 minutes. The longest solo run I've ever had was 2 hours. There are also these handy buttons at the end of each floor. These allow you to save and come back later if you wish. The game does a great job at letting you manage your play sessions and break them up where you need to. Time invested is also rewarded tremendously. The skill gap between a new and experienced player is immense, but each run teaches you something and helps you cross the gap. You are rewarded for your playtime with skill, and of course, more fun guns to play around with. Overall, the commitment here is beyond solid, and Gungeon earns its final 5 out of 5. Enter the Gungeon joins Outer Wilds in the Worth Your Time Hall of Fame with a clean sweep score of 25 out of 25. This game is a technical marvel wrapped up in an insanely fun gameplay loop with infinite replayability and a soundtrack that spits fire. It is a passion project through and through, and honestly, one of my favourite games of all time. So what are you waiting for? Was the talking gun not enough for you? Choose your Gungeoneer and get ready for your assault. It's time to enter the Gungeon.